Well, I'm trying to get it set up so that I can sit back in my seat and be properly framed in my camera. I haven't done a live for a very long time. I haven't done YouTube videos much for a while. I just lost the interest of making every day about making a video. In the past, I would get up in the morning, start making a video, and then most days I would complete the video, and I would force myself to do so, um, even if I didn't really feel like it or didn't know what I wanted to do. But in the recent times since COVID, I first of all had to be what do you call it? Isolated in my bus. Not so much because the law said so, but because of the sort of principles involved. The day after I arrived in Vancouver, they made it the law, so I just followed suit. Anyway, I got used to hanging around in my bus and keeping myself occupied doing other things besides making videos. I'm still not set up. I've got to open my live in my iPhone or my iPad. Live in my and turn the volume down, and then I can see that one person is here. Say hi, add it to the comments, and then I'll know who you are. What's this? Something else? Oh. No, oh yeah, I can have it exploded. Who the heck are you from Grumpy Old Man? Hi there. How are you doing? It's been a long time, hasn't it? Well, it seems like a long time. It's only, August, late August and September, and now October. So about 2 months I haven't been busy making videos. However, everybody should get excited if they're like, they want to see my videos, because I've just bought myself an Osmo gimbal. And it does a lot of things that makes me more excited about making videos. So I'm going to be doing a video about that. In fact, I would be doing that right now, except that I had run out of power on my phone, so I wouldn't be able to go for long. As soon as I put my phone on the tripod, or I mean on the gimbal, the phone said, "You're low on power." So instead of doing that, I decided to do a live. So I've got to check out everybody's messages or everybody's comments. Oh, there they are. There's a bunch of people. When I said there was one person, it was one person gave me a thumbs up. But there's a bunch of people, and I need more thumbs up so that other people will join us. So anyway, Grumpy Old Man was the first here. What are you doing awake? I'm just kidding there. Sports Boys, hi. Hello, Gus comes from Kev C. Bubblegum Bus. Look at you. I haven't seen you since I was down in California. Or not California, it was Oregon. I hope things are going well, and I hope you're down in San Diego doing really well. Keeping warm. I've got to stay in Canada this year because of COVID, I think. Maybe they'll open the border sometime, I don't know, December, January. I've actually get this. Sadly, I don't really like to get into politics, but I don't think that border will be open until there's a new president. Until something happens, like in other words, the United States starts to get a grip on how to manage the spread of that disease. I live in a province that I feel really safe in. Generally speaking, most of the people are wearing masks. There's the odd person who doesn't when they go shopping, and we keep our 6 feet apart. We just simply follow those rules that are given, and the majority of the population follows them. We don't police ourselves, and we don't give each other shit if they're not wearing a mask, none of that stuff. There's nothing political about it here. We just stay 6 feet apart and wear masks. And as such, we end up with like all the schools open, all the businesses open, everything open, and out of 4 million people, only a hundred or so contract the disease on a daily basis. It's a small number, and the number of people who died is really small. I mean, I don't want to say it's insignificant, it certainly isn't, but it's really small. So I feel really safe here because our problem is like 1/5 of what the Washington state is, and it's just across the border. So we're managing it pretty well, and then until the United States starts to manage it, I don't know why it doesn't make any sense for me to go down there. I'm in a nearly at the vulnerable age, and gee, if why would I go into a sea of sickness when I'm living in a place that's pretty safe and pretty comfortable for me? Here I meet friends. I can hang out in my bus. I can walk around. Everybody stays distant except the people that I know, and we're not even hanging. Like even my friends don't get closer than 6 feet normally. So, I'm totally safe here. I've got to adjust this a bit. Anyway, I don't know why I got on that. It's just that I can't go down to the States until things start to improve, and it doesn't look like they're going to for a little while, until there's some sort of agreement down there, which is really hard to understand why there isn't. I mean, it's, there's those conspiracy people. I don't know I don't know what to say. Anyway, good to see ya, Bubblegum Bus. Everybody should go and check out her YouTube channel. She at least the last time I saw her, she had a bubblegum colored bus. She had more than one, actually. Puget Sound RV guy. So you decided you liked my gimbal. Well, I'm not sure I got it from you, but I can talk about that gimbal. There is an Osmo Pocket, and it only serves one purpose. It's a very small camera, and you hold it in your hand. It basically allows you to shoot with a gimbal. And it stabilizes your footage and stuff, and of course records sound. But I thought that's all those gimbals did. I thought all they did is do some stabilization. And I'm pretty good at holding the phone pretty steady because I'm a photographer, so I've been doing it for a long time. I can't do as well as the gimbal, but gimbals were expensive. That little Pocket was like about maybe $300. And so I just said, I haven't got $300 for something that does so little for me. But then, I somehow accidentally watched a YouTube video about this gimbal. Oh, I didn't accidentally. I saw it for sale at a store nearby, and it was only $100. And since I thought they're $300, I checked it out and did some research and discovered it has a whole bunch of automatic features that I'm really going to like. So my gimbal is going to change my, how would I put it? It's going to change my way of creating the videos that I do create. Like a simple example is that this phone now is stationary and I'm stationary, so I stay in the frame. But if I'm walking along the beach, for example, and talking while I'm doing that, which almost never happens because of the wind, but if there's a day when I can talk and I'm outdoors, I could hold the gimbal. I'll give you an example. I could hold it over here and it'll be on my face, and I can just move the gimbal over here. It'll still be on my face, and I won't have to watch it because it'll track my face. And I could hold it off to the side and be talking and getting my, what do you call it, a picture of my face from the side, which is a sort of a portrait from the side. But I could move this around much more freely without even looking at it, because I'll know what it's shooting at. Even if I put it down at my knees, it'll be shooting up at my face, or way up in the air, it'll keep my face in the picture. So I can concentrate not so much on having my face in the picture, but what will the camera see if it points down at the ground and sees a dog. So I can deal with the camera in a much more effective way and take much more interesting photos. Anyway, so yeah, I guess I got your, where are you? Oh yeah, Puget Sound RV guy. I must have I mean, I do like that gimbal. So, and if I had seen it on your show, I probably thought you had more money than me. Hey, grumpy old man, $5 coffee. Yeah, that's exactly what I'll be getting. Oh, by the way, this gimbal was on sale for only 100 Canadian, which is maybe $30 less than it would be normally. So it was a pretty good deal. It was cheap. That's $100 instead of 300. That's a big difference. Or I thought they were 300. This one was actually only normally 200 or 170 or something. Good to see you, Gus. You are prepared for winter now. You have a stay in Vancouver. Well, I'm kind of prepared. I've got a what do you call it? A buddy heater, which works. Buddy heater's a good space heater. In my bus, it kind of heats the area near me, so I can just put it down on the ground, heat me. Uh, it works well. It'll warm the whole bus, but I don't want to sleep in a warm bed, for example, so I never use heat at night. I'm quite happy to go to sleep freezing in an area where the air is freezing around me and just have my head outside of the bag, and I don't ever get cold. So I'm quite happy to sleep like that, but I don't need my what do you call it, diesel heater to run all day. But I'm buying the diesel heater to get rid of humidity and to make it a little bit more, slightly more comfortable. In other words, the buddy heater, I have to turn it on and then turn it off, right? That kind of thing. Because it gets too hot. And by the way, that cough is my smoker's cough, not COVID cough. Anyway, Woodring, good to see you, Gus. You're prepared for, yeah, that's right. I'm prepared. I've been preparing, but my bus is not, it's got a bunch of windows around it. So it's never going to be super cozy, and it's never going to be draftless. It's going to have drafts. So I don't worry about it. I just, I'll heat the inside, and the heat will flow out of it and heat the outside too. I don't really care. I'm not, diesel's cheap and propane's pretty cheap for the way I use it. So I'm not too much worried. In fact, I often run the buddy heater and have my big door open. So there's cool air coming through, but the heat's hitting me. The radiant heat is hitting me. And I'm not then heating the bus. Howdy Gus says, Steel Tent Adventures, Bubblegum Bus. I've been sick in Huntington Beach the whole time. I did get hip surgery done, going back to the other one next week. Well, at least that you're progressing. It's good to see you progressing. I think I'm sort of we should all be happy if we're getting surgery while COVID's going on. At least that's the whole reason that at least in Canada, that's what we're doing, is we're trying to keep the hospitals open so everybody else, people with needing normal surgery, etc., don't get bumped off the list because there's a COVID case. John Chalker, how are you? Hello, Gosh, how are you feeling? We missed you. How are you feeling, my brother? Well, I'm still a little sick. I don't know what it is. I'm going to have to go to the clinic and find out what's going on with my stomach. Or at least I've got a pain that, I think it's the stomach. It's extended, or I got an ulcer, or maybe in a sense, it almost feels, what do you call them? A hernia. It almost feels like a hernia somehow. But I've already had a scan and they didn't see it, so I have no idea what it is. The scan was because I went to the hospital for constipation because of this pain. It always felt, and I wasn't doing number 2 with any regularity. So I always felt this pain was due to that. But after I solved the constipation, I still had this pain. So I've got to go find out what it is and figure out what to do with it. I'm in a way, I think I fell one day coming out of the grocery store. And I don't know if it started after that or it started before that. But that fall it could have bruised my ribs, but they're not sore. It's the whatever whatever organ is under my ribs on my left side. Anyway, I'll have to get that fixed. It's keeping me from being as active as I would hope to be. Late arriving. Good to see you, Gus. Good and grumpy. That's from Sue Bishop. How is everybody? Sue wants you to talk to her. Puget Sound. You looked at it. The meetup when I was using it. Yeah, you know, I honestly I didn't want. Well, first of all, if we were at the meetup and I didn't have any money, I would have just sort of ignored it as another thing I'd like to have or not, or or not want to pay for it, that sort of thing. But I did think they were $300 when I saw it. That what I had before, maybe I can show you without dropping everything. I had this. So when I put my camera on that, when I screwed it on here, it worked pretty well. This did what all the things that I thought I wanted to do, and I could put it down on a table and walk away, all of that kind of crap. Anyway, I needed to buy another one of these because this screw is loose on top, or I have to find a way to glue it in properly. So I went to find one at the store, and it's about $40. And then when I also did that, I wanted to get a new connector to hold the phone, another one, because I've got two phones. And then it would be like $30. So I was spending about $70 just replacing this. So I thought, if I'm spending that much, I might as well spend the $100. You know, in other words, it wasn't an additional expense. So yeah, I didn't buy it because I saw it somewhere. I bought it because I only just figured out that it had a value. Didn't know it had much value before that. And I didn't want a stabilizer because I'm pretty good with my hands. And I always thought the stabilizer was going to make it difficult to twist and make things go around. But this guy, I can push a button and it'll do a swirly kind of video. So I mean, it'll do it with the more accurately than I might. So it'll help me do the things that I wanted to do. Anyway, the most important thing about it is that it will follow me. In other words, I can put it on a log and walk down the beach and give everybody a panorama of the beach, and I'll be in it instead of just standing there holding it and shooting that panorama of the beach. So it gives me other capabilities. Now that doesn't mean my videos will be better, because it's cerebral. It's stuff up here that matters. It doesn't matter really what equipment you have. If you don't tell a story that people want to watch, then they're not going to watch it. And I actually have some insecurities about that. I was doing a video every day to almost 400 videos. So and at 400 videos, I had like 3,000 subscribers, and I would have hoped to have a lot more. But, you know, I'm an old man with, you know, not a very interesting life, and I don't sound all that enthusiastic about things, so I can understand why I don't have a huge, you know, enormous following. But it was nice to hear from everybody while I wasn't making videos, and when I'm hearing from people that tell me they miss me, in the past I would have sort of run outside and made a video because somebody said they missed me, or they didn't see a video yesterday. But now I'm way more relaxed. I'm not so, how would I put it? I'm not pushing myself to make a video each and every day, even though I think I should, because it gets me out of my bus. It gets me out and get some exercise. It exercises my mind. It's a real nice, fun hobby. And every day when I make a video, every day I feel like I did something. Whereas many days I actually feel slightly depressed when I go to bed because I don't think anything happened in my life, even though, of course, it did. Anyway, so who else we got here? Hey, Gus, it's John. Well, we did, John. Good job, Gus. You figured out that the new equipment works better. Yeah, my problem is that I'm not a, well, that's not a problem. I'm not like a gear geek. Um, I was a professional photographer, and I bought the most expensive equipment at times. And then I would have like a $4,000 or $5,000 camera, take it to the beach, and drop it. And then I replaced it with a $1,500 camera so I could go to the beach. And if I lost the camera, if something bad happened, I didn't it cost me so much for that mistake. And so I learned to consider equipment a tool, and I realized that in many cases, it's not reasonable to just go buy equipment because it seems to be a good idea. No matter what feature something offers, it's not necessarily of value to you. In other words, I bought this gimbal and I might start to use it, but I might also, you know, forget it, or it has another problem, like maybe it doesn't have a good battery, although it seems to have a great battery. But sometimes you buy stuff and then realize using it is more hassle than it's worth, and so it doesn't get used. And you got it, but it doesn't get used. Whereas this had, after checking it out, I feel that I'm going to use it almost every day. I really won't even take my phone off of it, except that I've got to go charge up my phone, etc. I mean, there's a good example. When I went to use it, my phone wasn't charged because I was charging my iPad instead. And so what happens is that you end up with these tools, and if you don't have them all in working order all the time, some things get in your way and you just can't go do it. So I've only got no more comments coming. We now have 19 watching. That's pretty cool. Anyway, I'm just sitting down at a beach near a Wi-Fi connection that I normally get. And I didn't really want to come on here and talk about my gimbal, although maybe I could show you a little bit about it with my other, well, I can't, because I was going to say I could use this little phone on it to show you how it works. But I can't ever get that picture onto the live, and I can't, this one I haven't even loaded the software for the gimbal yet, so I won't be able to do that. In the next couple of days, I'm going to be putting in a Chinese heater. They're often called a cheap Chinese heater. But I want to talk to people about prices and stuff like that. And there are alternatives to that were made in Germany, that were designed in 1910 or something like that. I can't remember what year it was, 1910, 1918. It was designed about that time, and it was intended for as truck heaters and stuff like that. And they were pretty expensive, I guess, at the time, but nobody else, they had a patent on it, and nobody else could make them for, like, I don't know, 100 years, 75 at least. And so those companies made those things and charged people, $1,200, $1,500 for something they designed in 2000 or 1910. And they probably made their castings for the heater in 1910, and they probably made most of the master in 1910. And they haven't had to improve that a whole bunch since 1910. They could be building them the same way as they built them in 1910. And then and of course they were designed in 1910. There were no clearly no computerized lathes or super accurate lathes. If they needed a part, they had to get a man to make it on a lathe. And those guys would be pretty skilled and be very good. That's for sure. Handmade stuff can be incredibly good, but it's also very expensive to make stuff by hand. So that company could have just been making the parts for this thing at a standard rate, at the rate that they sell them, and then they may have had to tool up a little bit, and they may have gotten things like electronic lathes over the time being. They may have gotten even CNC machines, right? But over those years, they've generally paid people and stuff. So originally their price had to be high, but when they got a new machine and new equipment, they didn't cut the cost. They just kept the cost high. But they fired somebody because they got a new machine. And then a Chinese company said, hey, that patent is over. We can make that. So they make a casting with, equipment that was designed in 2000. And they make it to the clearances that are required for normal equipment in 2000. And they have CNC machines, and then they have people put it together. That Chinese heater is not worse. It's not something that was engineered to lower tolerances because it's made with brand new equipment. It's not, designed for a man on a lathe. So the tolerances, etc., on a cheap Chinese heater are probably better. I think you're probably getting a better product that was engineered or created in 2000 or 2020 than you are if you're buying a product that was engineered in 1910. So, that's my take on it. I don't think of them as cheaper. I think of them as higher quality, and I think of them as coming from a company that hasn't been gouging the world for like 100 years. And these heaters are not new. When I had a 1970-ish Volkswagen, there was a gas heater in it. It was made with a steel shell, but I think it worked in much the same way because it did have an external intake and an external outtake. And you would just flick a switch on the front of your Volkswagen because it was air cooled. There was a gas heater in it that ran on gasoline. Anyway, so I'm going to be loading that or putting that into my bus just behind my driver's seat sometime this week, I think. It's been cold the last bunch of days, but I want to have a day where it's not raining. It doesn't have to be like a warm day, but I just want to do it on a day where it's not too damp. Anyhow, these old guy rants that you hear from me are I think of them as kind of funny, but I kind of snicker at people's concepts about because something's cheaper, it's somehow not as good. These companies in China, if they can make it for 200, or make it and sell it for 200, and they want to take over the other guy's market, they just take over the other guy's market. They don't need to be selling something they can make for $100 for $1,100 like the other companies did for 100 years, right? Anyhow, so I'm going to have some heat. I'm sure it'll work. I don't think it'll explode, but we'll see. So who else is in here? I paid $200 for the Chinese diesel heater. Yeah, well, I paid $200 too. It's about roughly 220 or something delivered to Canada, 200 Canadian. An American would pay a little bit less. Hey, John Chandler, appendix. I never thought of that. Is that like on the left side of my body under my rib cage? I had a CT scan, but they were scanning me for to see if there was a problem that related to my constipated state. And in fact, it came back saying I was mildly constipated. Said I had a sort of a small issue with small, unimportant issue with my liver. Otherwise, it didn't come back with anything. So the appendix. John, if the appendix is on the left-hand side, just under the rib cage, maybe that is what it is. Chasing Snow is on there, but it says his message was retracted. Maybe he said something nasty to me. Steel Tent Adventure says lower right side. Now, my pain's on the lower left side. When I look at like pictures of organs, seems that that's where the stomach is. So I picked up some Pepto-Bismol, didn't seem to make any difference, but then I've never used Pepto-Bismol, so I don't know what it's supposed to do. I can't read the fine print. You know, even with these glasses, these are very strong glasses. Even if I put glasses on, I cannot read fine print on any kind of medical bottle. I've got to check with the pharmacist, but it seems ridiculous at 70. Like Pepto-Bismol's been a product that's been around for 50 years, and I don't know what it's for exactly. Anyway, so we're at 22 watching now. That's pretty cool. I don't know how many I was getting in the past, like before I had sort of stopped making videos. But, you know, having even 10 people watching me live is kind of interesting. I'm kind of surprised. Haven't seen too many people chatting though, not many people talking to me. I'm about to take my beard off again. I get pretty lazy putting, you know, with my beard. I wonder if I'm getting top chat, live chat. There's a difference. If I don't put it to live chat, I might just be getting what YouTube thinks are the most important comments. Yeah, Grumpy Old Man says you have problem reading and you have bifocals. While I'm in Canada this winter, I should probably make a resolution to get all the sort of medical, all of the things that are not going so well with me fixed. I have a cataract in my eye, which makes this eye blurry. So I really only get any detail out of the other eye. I should probably get laser treatment or something. I'll have to figure out how much that costs and maybe save up some money, or maybe my health care covers it. I'm not sure. Yeah, Chasing Snow says he put a Chinese diesel heater in his vehicle 2 years ago. Yeah, if you're in a cold climate, they make some sense. But my story's kind of funny because when I bought my bus, somebody said you need a heater, and I had already bought this buddy heater. They said you need a heater, but you got to watch out for condensation, and and I was like, I looked at the heater and it was too big. The buddy heater looked too big. I don't know how I'm going to use it, I thought. And I'm going to California. What do I need a heater for? So I took that buddy heater back, and I didn't use a heater for the first winter. I stayed in it in my bus, and it got to a couple of days below freezing. Needed to wait till my grandchild was born, and then I went straight down to California. So I lived through the beginning of the first winter without any heat at all, just the heater from the bus, the regular heater from the motor. And then I came back the next year, and somebody gave me a heater. Well, I got it for free, so I started to use it. It was a kerosene heater that I converted to use with diesel. And then everybody was screaming at me because it was sooty and stuff. And I agreed with them. It wasn't all that great. So I used that for a part of the winter, and I didn't use it full time. Then I got a buddy heater this last spring when I came back. And so I've actually lived without any heater at all. I haven't lived a whole winter with no heat, But I have had many, I did live basically 1 year without a heater. Now I'm going to have the Chinese heater and the buddy heater, so I'll be basically able to handle anything. The buddy heaters, I think the buddy heater's actually a good product, but I use it for what it's meant for, which is a space heater, a temporary heater when I like sitting in the front seat, and I need to warm it up a little bit. So I put it on its low level, it heats the whole bus, and then I turn it off in about 15 minutes. So I wear big clothes, and I prefer that. I don't want to get undressed and hang out in a shorts and t-shirts in my bus. That I don't need to do that. I'm quite happy wearing lots of clothes. Nothing better on a Friday night than watch. Is it Friday? Huh. Huh. I didn't know it was Friday. But yeah, it's a good thing to do on Friday night. Hey, Cordell. I never have anything important to say, he says. Cordell and I used to live in the same building, sort of like roommates. I haven't seen him for all this year. We normally at least get together for lunch or something. I hope you get a hold of me and we try and do that. And I've been hassling Cordell to make YouTube videos for like 10 years because his interests would interest everybody, or not everybody, but others who have the same interest. He's very thoughtful and could create some interesting presentations. And now that he sees me, knowing that I don't say anything, I have nothing important to say to anybody. People could all live their lives without learning anything from me. So Cordell should be looking at me and getting some, some encouragement to make YouTube videos. Diverticulitis in the intestine. I'll look that up. Steel test adventures. I'll look it up because I'm constantly looking. When I get a name of any sort of disease or anything, I keep trying to diagnose it myself. Beard shaving challenge. Oh, you want me to shave live? Yeah, I could do that, but I'd be covering my coat with all that gray hair, and I don't, I don't. I mean, I certainly wouldn't mind do if if I have what do you call them, these if people send me what would it be if my I'm trying to think of what that's called. It's when you send me money via this chat, I can't remember, it's a super chat. So let's say if I get to $30 in super chat, I'll shave my beard live. Let's just say that. I don't think that's necessarily going to happen, because who wants to pay to watch me shave my beard? Could be a touch of diverticulitis, yeah. Oh, come to Ontario, says Grumpy Old Man. The reason that I'm not a grumpy old man is that I don't live in Ontario. Going to Ontario for me is almost the same as going to the United States. You guys haven't figured out how to look after COVID. I mean, BC has been doing so much better than the rest of the country, and having all of our businesses open except for, I think we've got gyms closed down, but I'm not, yeah, we've got gyms are closed down or closed to maybe, maybe they can only handle 25% of the traffic or something. But we're basically not closed like many other states and provinces. Living in my bus, I almost don't notice it. The only time I ever notice it if I go shopping for like a gimbal, or I go grocery shopping, and then I put on a mask and my body starts to overheat. I start to hyperventilate. So when I go shopping, I can't stand it in there. I went to uh, to the store to buy the gimbal, and then I forgot to buy the tripod I need underneath it to hold it. And what else was it? Anyway, I kept going back to the store to each, like in the morning. I bought the gimbal, then I went back the next day, and then I went back the next morning, then I went back the next evening, because I forgot the things that I had to, sort of accessory things that I had to get. And each trip, I don't, like I say, I go grocery shopping, I'll buy a few things that I need, and then I'm out of there. But I go every day because I haven't got my brain is saying, take this mask off, you're breathing too heavily and stuff like that. So I start to hyperventilate. I actually start to get angry in the store. I start getting angry or feeling angry. And yeah, I got nothing to be angry about. I'm just, moving around. But the mask does inhibit my ability to be comfortable. And I'm not sure whether it's because it's causing me to breathe a little more deeply, or I'm heating my body, because all the heat comes out of my mask down here and into my shirt, and my body's overheating. I come out of the store all sweating like I was as anxious as hell. Anyway, it's really kind of funny. Yes, thanks God it's Friday with Gus and friends. That's cool. It's neat to see you guys meeting up on here and seeing some of the same people in comments again. It's been a while. It's been a long time, actually. Anyhow, maybe it's time to end this thing. There's 21 watching now. We went from 22 to 21, and so my audience is dwindling. Maybe it's time to end this. But I thought I would do it because I haven't done one for at least 2 months, maybe even 3, because I had stopped doing them at more or less some point when COVID started. And it's getting dark. There's not going to be much light to do this in a little while, so it's time to go. Thanks for watching, everybody. There's another comment from Dan Brown. Masks cover our faces. Humans need face interaction to communicate. This is a very harmful to society in so many other ways. Well, Dan, it's our responsibility to change. It's our responsibility to change when there is a need to change. I'm 70, and one of the things that I've noticed in the world, especially when I'm dealing with like old guys like myself, they want to keep things the same. There's no reason for things to be the same. The reality is I wear a mask and I'll learn how to wear the mask, but it's got a huge benefit for me, and that is it keeps me out of the store trying to buy other things I don't need. Outside, I'm talking to people and none of us are wearing masks. I have a huge amount of interaction with people. And I mean, the biggest problem for me, the biggest bitch I have, is if I go to like buy a hamburger and I say, okay, I want 2 hamburgers, 2 like Johnny Smith hamburgers or whatever they are. I just tell them exactly what I want from the menu, and then they start asking me questions. And I can't hear them because they may have, I've got poor hearing. Their voice is muffled and not very loud, and they don't seem to be making any effort to enable me to hear them. And they may have an accent I can't figure out. And so I'll have a conversation trying to figure out what the question is. And all the question is, do you want cheese? And because I don't expect the question, I can't figure out what it is. I've actually talked to people for like a minute or 2, only to find out they were asking me if I want cheese on my burger. And I'm like, geez, that's frustrating to go through that process. So the biggest problem for me with a mask is the inability to communicate. I don't think we actually have to see faces, because the girl who served me coffee at the local coffee shop at the beginning of the summer, I looked at her with her mask, and she had the happiest eyes. I knew that she had a beautiful smile under the mask. I didn't have to see the smile. So I'm not concerned about what we can't see, but we should all be willing to change, especially when the change has a reason and a value. And in my province, most of the people are following the rules, and we're not having the problems everybody else in other states are having. We've got 4 million people in our province, and probably the lowest infection rate of all of North America. And it's because people are not fighting and not resisting change. And we all know that it's only going to be for a year or so, unless everybody else, like, what's the word, fucks up. They fuck up by not following the rules. And the guys that are, I'm not saying that anything badly about you, Dan Brown, because you've said something about masks. The reality is that everybody who does not follow those basic rules makes the pandemic last longer. They make the rules last longer. They're doing something that's against their own best interest and against their own ideology. So what they want is freedom to not wear a mask, for example. And by not wearing a mask, they make sure the rule that says they have to wear a mask will last longer. So they're fighting against themselves. They're fighting a friggin' losing battle. And it benefits nobody. Anyhow, there's Gus's rant, Friday night rant for the day. Because I'm living in a place that's very safe, with people in a community that are all pitching in to work together for the same thing. When I see other, states in the United States where they've lost control, and there's people saying, I don't like to wear a mask and I won't wear one, I just don't get it. They've lost control because there are people who are not out of control, and they're not doing anything for themselves by not doing anything for themselves. It makes no sense. Anyway, it's Friday night. I hope everybody's having a great night. Hope nobody's pissed at me because I get sort of political, but it's not. It's not about politics for me. It's just about people helping each other. Anyhow, that's enough. That's enough, Gus. Go to bed. Go to sleep. Go get dinner. Whatever I'm going to do. You guys have a great time, and you get a thumbs up for watching. I don't know. I never know why people are watching me. I just, it's actually, I love talking. I love doing this. I just kind of don't get it because I don't start out with a plan, or I'm going to talk to you about something, or I'm going to answer all the frequently asked questions. But it does benefit me because I talk about my sore stomach and get some ideas. I'm going to go check that out. Check out some of the suggestions. So, how do I turn this off? I forgot. I think I pushed that button. Yep, that's it.